Welcome to the Hub Podcast. I'm your host, Cheney Passer. With me is Court K5. And today, 3, 2, 1.
You messed that up.
We suck.
Go get another one.
Today's ASMR.
We're drinking a little peach pear LaCroix. I think it looks good with my outfit today.
Yeah, apparently I wanted to blend into the chair today.
I'm not even gonna lie, you always wear that.
With my color. Do you think
I'm
I always
surprised
wear this?
Yeah, like I don't know why you're commenting on it today. I feel like that's always what you wear. Like if I think of the podcast, it's you wearing that with that chair.
I have like 2 shirts and 2 shorts, so I'm sure I'm already repeating outfits or, shirts and shorts and I don't know. You try way harder than I do.
Well, I think
And it works.
I have so many clothes that I can do that with that I don't know, it's boring if you see someone wear the same thing. I think.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna go buy clothes to have options. I'll
No,
just start wearing
and honestly,
some of your clothes.
I have to have these clothes for like the work weekends and stuff. So it's not like I would typically have a lot of these options.
I'll start wearing that. I'll wear that next week.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
I like the little sprinkle that's giving.
Yeah.
That doesn't really have a flavor. LaCroix, I like you, but this peach pear situation, not much going on.
Oh, really? I think it has some flavor. Not as much as the lemon one like we had the other day.
I think my favorite flavor is the grapefruit. I feel like that's most people's favorite flavor. That's like if you're going to start with LaCroix, you start with the grapefruit.
Yeah, they did that one right.
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah.
So, how was your podcast? We didn't even talk about it.
It was good. I'm trying to find a rhythm. I'm trying to figure it out. What I want to do, what I want to say, I think it's better than last time though, because I've actually prepared some stuff.
What do you complain about?
Oh, everything.
You don't want to give it away?
Yeah, no. Everything.
I did a video of a recipe that I tried today that will be being posted probably before this is posted. It was good. I think it went super easy. We're going to try to do more stuff like that, like shooting recipes, shooting how-to videos, shooting, I don't know, just try to get more random content out there and things that are still related to health and fitness. And I think eating healthy is a struggle for a lot of people, and just ideas of what to make that we're going to try to pump those out a little bit just to give you some, I don't know, fun food ideas.
Yeah, I think we called it the Hub kind of for a reason, because we wanted it to be you can come to this channel for everything, not just like a podcast with fitness stuff and whatever, but yeah, recipes and, quick and easy recipes and maybe a little bit more elongated stuff to get more flavor into your meals and stuff like that. And then also, the how-to videos of like how to do these exercises and just how to do them correctly. And I don't know, even just like content of us working out and what we do and that sort of thing. Like wanting it to be a channel that everything is kind of there with health and fitness and be able to give advice on all bases. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, like you said, you thought it was pretty easy to do.
It was super easy. I just followed, I kind of go rogue anytime I make something. I'm not like a go by the measurements
or like
person.
A time, like put it in the oven for this amount of time.
Yeah, I just kind of look. I go, does it look like it's done? Does it feel like it's done? And then like the measurements, I'm like, this looks about that. Yeah. It just takes more time to measure it for me. Some things I did, but otherwise like seasonings, I'm like, I'm just going to do it. 'Cause I know I like salt, so I'm just going to put a bunch of salt in there. I'm not going to measure out one little granular of salt and,
You're an old-fashioned cook. You don't do measurements and stuff. You just go by look and feel and...
Yeah, and then if it tastes weird, I'll adjust for next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing probably took me 30 minutes. And mostly just because I was reading the directions and trying to figure it out. But I think it would take me 25 minutes because it's one of those things where you just like set it and forget it. Like you put it on a pan and then put it in the oven. And then while you're letting that cook, you like cook the rest of the stuff or like cut up the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
But it was super simple and really good for you. And
Be
blah,
good.
blah, blah.
Be good for your dad. Set it and forget it.
Yeah, I feel like that's all good for a lot of people. We should start doing that more. Of just like putting, like a whole meal on a pan and then putting in the oven or.
I think that's a big thing for a lot of people is, they are too busy or they just don't like cooking that they want the simple recipe, the easy recipe. And unfortunately, a lot of the times that means it's unhealthy. It's, grab a Hungry Man or whatever and throw it in the microwave. And typically it's it's not as good of options when you try to do things quickly that I think there's a lot of ways that you can still have a healthy meal, but have it be quick. So I think and I think a lot of people kind of deal with that.
Yeah.
And that would be good for us to do more videos of that type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and especially like, I don't know, just giving the little tips that I think some people don't think about, but even just like making 2 portions of what you're doing. And then, oh, now there's leftovers or now you have something for tomorrow or whatever. Yep. Like what I had made for us, I made by the recipe and it still made 2 portions.
Yeah.
To where someone that's just cooking for themselves, it's like, no, that's just an extra portion that you could have for a different time or whatever. But I do want to start out saying, because we didn't do this last time, and so we're just going to try to switch it up. All of our videos and content is going to be spread along most of our platforms. So our Facebook is The Hub Fitness. Our Instagram is The Hub_fitness. And our email is thehub.fitcrew@gmail.com. OMG, I did not mess up a single one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we try to post our stuff kind of on everything, but follow us on everything because we do kind of do platform specific with what we post. And obviously, like this, comment some good stuff or some bad stuff, whatever you are feeling in the moment, and subscribe so that you can get notified. And it just helps us keep doing this.
Yeah, and I think as always, like questions too. We're gonna see them or look at them. So questions on whether it's on one of the podcast episodes on YouTube or it's on Facebook or Instagram. If you ever have a question or something that you'd like to hear us talk about, comment at any time. It doesn't have to be we're asking for questions. Just comment and we'll bring it up and we'll talk about it.
Especially as it's the new year, so also Happy New Year. As we're kind of getting into the new year and you're setting maybe your intentions and your goals or what you're wanting to focus on, but you're just wanting some guidance with it, reach out to us so we can start you off on a good note and with an actual plan of attack and not just this cycle that you probably keep falling back into year after year and then nothing happens. Let's actually have something happen for you and we can be the driving force of that or the helping force for you with that. But let's get into the topic of the day.
Okay.
This is something I will not be able to speak so much on, but how to build your back and the benefits and negatives to wearing a weight belt while you're lifting.
Yeah. I think with how to build your back, it's kind of, what's your intention with it? Are you wanting more definition? Are you wanting to be stronger? Are you wanting to be bigger? You have to figure out what you want to do with it. And then something that it's not just with the back, it's with everything. If you're going to have an intention of, I want my back to be bigger. I want to get my back bigger. You kind of have to do all of your body parts with that intention then. You're not really going to be able to make your back bigger and wider and whatever, and then chisel out your legs at the same time, because typically what's happening there is you're chiseling out your legs. You're probably reducing calories a little bit. The rep range that you're in is a little bit higher of a rep range to where with your back, if you're trying to make that bigger, you would be increasing calories and you would be in a lower rep range, really working on strength and stuff. So unfortunately, you're going to have to kind of do everything with that intention. If you want your back to be bigger, let's say, you're going to have to be training everything in that direction. So you'd have your rep ranges lower, and you'd be increasing calories. And then I think what it comes to is your back has so much variety to it. It's very complex compared to like the front side of your body where, or even just more front side of your upper body. Your chest is somewhat simple compared to the back. There's so much going on, so many different muscles and lines. and directions that they're going, that you're going to have a wide variety of exercises you're doing with back. I think that's one of the big things that's missed when you're trying to build your back, is getting that variety.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, and something that I needed to learn earlier on too, is just if you can understand the anatomy of what you're working with. Now, it doesn't mean you need to know every joint and ligament and how it connects and, what, I don't know, every little muscle, but even just the way that it runs along your body, that will help you learn how to program what works better for you, because you could be kind of not wasting your time, because everything is beneficial. But if you're trying to, say, build out, you just feel like your upper back around your shoulder area is just kind of not developed maybe as much as your lats are. And then you just keep doing keep doing lifts that you think are back related, but really should be isolating, say, your rear delt. Understanding how those muscles run along your body, because then you will know what direction they contract. So then oh, okay, well, if my rear delt contracts like this, I need a motion that is going to contract it like this. So then figuring out whether it's, any type of row or whatever exercise you find that works for you with that, it helps just knowing what motion you're trying to achieve.
I think that's a really good point to everything, because this is also what happens, and there's an issue with overactive and underactive muscles, is you don't know or understand the pathway that you should be trying to contract the muscle. So then some muscles become overactive and they build, but then because they're so overactive, they get tight and they get strained and they don't grow anymore. And then you have a lot of underactive muscles that are not being worked when they should be during certain exercises, that can limit your growth. And I think especially in your back, with how much variety and how many specific muscles and areas there are, that I think is a really good point to and it's super simple. All you have to do is go on Google, look up a muscle diagram of your back or anything, if you're wondering. And I think the easiest example is if you go and you look at the front side of the body, you'll see the muscle strands on your bicep kind of go to your elbow and up to your shoulder. The way that those line, how to contract that muscle is those lines to shorten them, not to squeeze them together, but to shorten them. And that's how every muscle is going to work in the body. So when you go and look up your back and you're like, well, I don't know how to work this area, just follow the lines. Whatever way the lines are going, you need to make sure that you're contracting that way, forward and back, or whatever it may be. And I think that you brought up a good one with the rear delt. That one's a super difficult one to isolate into work, because we don't use it that much. It's typically an underactive muscle, and people don't really know the arm angle they're supposed to have, and they think that they're contracting that muscle, but in reality, they're probably just contracting their lat. To where not knowing, but looking up that muscle diagram, taking the 2 seconds to go, okay, I want to hit this muscle group. What pathway do I need to go to hit that? It's going to help. It's going to help tremendously, because you could just be missing out on that.
Yeah. And so then I would just take, even write it down. That could be helpful, or look at that diagram and have that diagram on your phone when you're going to work out and go, okay, these are all of the muscles that I need to work on to build the full structure of my back. So you have to think about it as a whole. If the lats get built out, but then nothing up top gets built out, it's not going to look as aesthetically pleasing. It's not going to look like you have this big, broad, bubbly looking back. Because all of those muscles make up the full shape and the full visual, that I think sometimes your body is also going to compensate for the stronger parts in your back. That, for someone like me, my lats are stronger. I can pull more with them. I know how to it's an easier muscle to activate. I think that's probably why, to where something like my rear delt or even like more of like the middle area, it's harder for me to connect to. But that again is when you look at my back where the weak spot is. That thinking of, okay, I need to hit, say, you know, I'm hitting just this upper body or upper back today, and then I'm going to focus on the lower half and the core, and then I need to make sure that I am balancing all of them out, not just prioritizing the ones that are maybe easier or ones that we know how to activate.
Yeah, and the back you have to be super picky and specific with. Like, back day can be a very, very long day, because if you think of the front side of your body, you have your chest and then you have your abs or your core, to where most people don't work the entire front part of their upper body. They don't do a chest and the ab day typically, but your back, it's so big.
Interesting split.
Yeah, wouldn't it be?
Front side, back side.
Yeah, I think some people have done that or probably would do that.
That's interesting.
But you think about it too, there's so many exercises for your back. There's really not a whole lot for your chest. And that's because your chest is more simple. Yeah, it's simple compared to your back. So I think that's a major, major point in my opinion, is you got to get the variety when you're exercising your back. You got to be doing wide rows, narrow rows, lat pull downs, wide and narrow. You got to be doing, rear delt flies. You got to be doing deadlifts, rack pulls. Like, you have to have a lot of variety in order to really sculpt the back the way that you want it to.
I feel like back is one of those areas, well, anything posterior, but especially with your back, it's hard to tell, I think for most people, how your form is, how you're doing, how it looks. That it sounds kind of silly, but even like taking pictures, like set up your self timer on your phone and take a couple pictures just to kind of see, like, if you're wanting to get really nitpicky with it, what areas need work. Mm-hmm. Because it's just an area that you don't ever see. Yeah. That you could think like, oh no, it's probably balanced, or it probably looks all even and whatever. And then you see most people just have super big lats and up top is, iffy. That kind of just take a self examination with that and then go, okay, this is where I'm lacking. And then maybe go back to your diagram and go, okay, what muscles do I need to work on to build out the full picture? And I think back is one of those really awesome areas that you can lift pretty heavy, I guess, to build those out, which is awesome. It's not like bicep where it's like, okay, do a third bicep curl for your workout. Yeah. Like, there are so many different exercises that activate your back, and I don't know, you can push the weight on, which is cool, which I kind of want to talk about in a second, is like what exercises are your favorite and just what would be kind of your bang for your buck. But also another benefit of building out your back too, not just aesthetically, because I think it looks really nice, is like, that is your structure, that's your supporting your spine, that is your core. That the more that you also focus on creating balance with that, it's going to support a more balanced, I just said support twice, support system for your spine, for how to like hold your posture. That I think there's a lot of areas that building out your back or focusing on your back, focusing on your back is beneficial.
I think it's a good point to bring up, because typically in this space, like bodybuilding or just people that are going for more aesthetic, we tend to forget about the actual health benefits that this stuff is. That kind of like what you said, is people will have really big lats, but then, the mid back or kind of up towards your traps area becomes underdeveloped, and it's just not strong, and that's going to hinder the growth of everything else. So just like what we've brought up before, is everything kind of grows together. Things will maybe surpass, and like that's why we have underactive and overactive muscles. It'll happen, but you'll kind of plateau at that point then. I think for a lot of people, it's your traps get really overactive because everybody kind of hunches when they do exercises. And same with just like stress and forward shoulder, like your traps end up being extremely overactive that it becomes harder and harder to activate things like your rear delt or your rhomboids or even your chest because of that. But really focusing on the health too, making sure you're doing those exercises that benefit your health as well. What you want your muscles to do is to protect and to be strong around the spine. You got to do exercises that are going to do that. Deadlifts, rack pulls, maybe a little bit of shrugs, maybe not so much, but really those compound lifts, even squats. I think people undervalue squats for a back exercise. There's a lot of load on your lower back, like on your
front
lumbar,
squats especially,
and front squats especially, that is really helping in protecting your spine. So I think it's a good point of think about your health too, like not just aesthetic. Think about what being strong actually is helping and not just aesthetically.
And think about the function of your back. Think about going back to like the diagram and where it contracts, but also think about it as your core and what your core is doing, and it's stabilizing, but it's also needs rotation. So that's where I would bring in also the mobility aspect of doing the lifts that support the getting that area stronger, but then adding in mobility of, rotational exercises. So I would do like lizard with rotation, or I would do like taking one of the weighted sticks and just doing cross touches, or even like the W press on the wall and guiding up the wall, or all these are in our mobility program and you can look them up as well. But making sure that your function is matching your strength, because that's how it all builds together. Mm-hmm. And one can't really be uneven. Otherwise one is going to plateau. That making sure that your health of your back, the health of your spine is going to then give yourself, just think about like you're creating the base. Your back is not going to build if it doesn't feel like it can handle it.
Yeah.
So the healthier you create the base, the bigger and the stronger that you can make and aesthetically make it look, because it knows it can handle it.
Yeah, totally. I think you mentioned earlier like what my favorites would be, or kind of the bang for your buck exercises. I would say like a bent over barbell row. Mm-hmm. That might be number one. To me, that's like in the top 5 of compound lifts, because you're at that not inclined, but you're at that bent over position where you're kind of at a 45-degree angle. So you're putting a load on your lower back, and then you're also doing a row. And I typically tend to go more towards wide grip row for that one. That you're activating so much of your back throughout that exercise. You're activating the lumbar, the lower part. You're getting some mid-back activation just from stabilizing, and then you're doing a wide grip row and you're hitting those lats. That would be number one for me for sure.
This might be, I mean, it is a row, but I'm just going to do a variation than what you did, but like the T-bar row.
Yeah.
You don't have to stabilize as much, so you can, this is like the total opposite of yours. I feel like it is just so much isolation.
Yeah.
It's so much like focusing on the squeeze, and I think if you're not used to knowing what you're activating, you can kind of let go of the core for a second, still at the angle, so you're still adding a little bit more of a resistance. And you're switching up the grip than you normally would, but it really helps me be able to feel the squeeze and lock my shoulder blades down and still be able to activate there. That's one I always liked.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, and that's also a good point you brought up with it of you're going to, usually it's kind of a, not a machine, but it's a little bit of a contraption setup that you can kind of lay your stomach or chest onto the pad. That way you don't have to brace yourself, and then you're pulling that bar up to you. It is a really good way to like shut everything off so you can just focus on, your lats or your mid back, depending on what grip you're grabbing. That I think that's a good point. If you're having issues activating certain areas, try to put yourself into positions that everything is shut off. You know, if you're having a hard time activating your lateral delt when you do a shoulder press, sit down instead of doing them standing. That way you don't have to worry about bracing. You don't have to worry about anything else. You're just seated doing it. And then you can really focus on it.
Another way you can do that if you don't have this contraption, like you said, at your gym, is just go. I'm sure most of your gym has like an incline bench. You could just land on an incline bench and then grab dumbbells, which I also like that too, because then you can change up your grip and what you wanting to focus on. I mean, you could do rear delts that way.
Yep.
I would suggest, like with what he is saying, is kind of being able to shut everything off. I wouldn't suggest then going to a machine. I would suggest like just finding a bench and sitting down, or finding other ways to hold yourself in and stabilize your core pretty much, and then be able to activate the other areas, because a machine is going to force you in one pathway that might not be your pathway. Mm-hmm. So then when you get off of the machine and you go try to do it on your own, it might have created weird.
Yeah, just pathways.
Yeah,
just weird.
I'm trying to think of another word, but
yeah, I agree. I think try to stay away from machines as much as you can. Try to stay with the free weights, and a lot of the time it's even that T-bar row you're talking about. A lot of the time it shifts side to side, so you are still getting that free weight type of feeling. Try to stay with free weights, because there's a lot of just stability that you're working on, and finding the right pathway to pull that to where when you sit down on a machine, you can adjust the seat and maybe adjust the thing in front of you or whatever, but it is just going one pathway forward and back. It doesn't matter what yours is. So you can't really practice on having the correct form or doing it the right way necessarily.
Mm-hmm. The only machine that I would maybe suggest, which I don't even know if you'd consider it a machine, but like, maybe seated cable stuff. Like seated, what am I talking about? Cable, like lat pull downs or rows.
I think as long as that, when you pull,
you can adjust the pathway.
Yeah, when you pull on that cable, as long as it can go in all directions, that's still mimicking the free weight feel, and I think that's better. That's a lot better than sitting down on one of them where you can't move the thing side to side, or you can't move it up and down. It goes one pathway, and that's it. Because that would be another one for me, is lat pull down as a kind of a major one. There's a lot of ways to hit your lats, but not that way. Like that one. That exercise really hits the lats in a different way that you can't really get from just a row or a barbell row, even if you're going wide grip, because they are designed to come down and around as well as coming back. So, which is how your lats move. They move like this. Yeah. So it is mimicking, like we talked about earlier, the contraction of what that muscle is doing. Yep. To where you're not going to get that from any other exercise. So it's kind of that, it's almost like that, way of doing it has kind of monopolized it. You got to have it up above and pull it down to your chest. And there's just really no other exercise to hit them like that, at least as effectively. And I would say the only other thing that does do that, and what I would suggest practicing, I can't do a single one of them, but I've been practicing, is pull-ups. Yep. Talk about, kind of like the simplified version, talking about just like going back to body weight exercises, but such a, I don't know, they're all beneficial, but like you almost can't mimic that besides like a lat pull down. It's like the way that you learn how to contract your muscles, like you can't just fake those. It won't happen. You can't, it's like to where other exercises, you can kind of fake your way through it and still get the weight up or down or whatever. You're just going to keep hanging there. Yeah. If you don't know how to contract those muscles and activate those muscles, you're not going anywhere. Yeah. I think that's why, military or just the kind of the basic way to test fitness was push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. Are you strong enough to control your body weight? And then how many times can you do it type of thing? And I think those are perfect tests as to how balanced are you, as far as how much weight do you have on your body and how strong are you type of thing, and how in control are you? Because there is a skill to doing a push-up or a pull-up that can help. But like you're saying, at the end of the day, you can either pull yourself up or you can't.
Right.
And like I said, I think it's a really good test of balance, because you'll have plenty of guys that look huge and they can't do a pull-up. And it's like, well, there you go. It kind of shows there's still a control of your body that you need to have, and there's still a,
functionality of the muscle.
Right, a functionality, and they can sit there and pull a lot of weight, but they can't pull themselves up. It shows kind of the imbalance that they may be having.
And if you're someone like me that can't do one, one way that I've been practicing is just getting myself set up to where, like, I'm not just hanging there, but maybe I'm standing on a bench or a chair and then going up to the bar and kind of giving myself a boost. Like I'm jumping up and then I'm just contracting those muscles and squeezing and feeling, okay, if I were to do this, this is what I would need to feel. This is where I'd be contracting. This is where I need to be pulling from. This is where my grip needs to rotate or pull from. And then same thing on the way, but like in the middle, then going and pausing, squeezing, activating all the way down and not letting myself fully concave in, but then holding that tension. Because it's just like it's a muscle control, and you have to be able to send that signal. That I think is the first step to, if you're just like, I don't even know where to start with that, but I think it sounds important.
Yeah, you're almost focusing on the deceleration coming down, rather than what you would think is like the test is to pull yourself up. Practice starting from the pull-up position and then slowly lower yourself down and try to control it all the way, because you're still activating the muscle, and like you're talking about, you're working on being able to do that movement, and you just continue to do it and you get better and better at it, and then you can just kind of hold yourself there for a long time.
Yeah, or I'm sure most gyms also have like the assisted pull-ups, so maybe add that into your program, or if they don't, you can do bands, and so the tension, or you're lighter basically. That also can be a tool to you.
Yeah.
But I think they're important.
Yeah.
I've avoided them for years and years, but
I think they're super important. They're a really great exercise to show just overall fitness, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think another exercise, and we kind of talked about it passing through, was just a regular dumbbell row. A regular dumbbell row where you just kind of, people maybe call them narrow or whatever, just a kind of a neutral grip, a hammer curl grip, and just doing a regular dumbbell row one at a time. You can do them bent over just like the barbell, and you're going to get that lower back activation. But if you do brace yourself, I still think it's a really great exercise, and it's just, it's kind of the meat. It's the meat of the back exercises. I think that's another good one.
And anytime using dumbbell, really getting to see your imbalances left to right.
Yep.
So I noticed for me, especially with rows, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm way stronger on my one side or whatever. And I actually noticed I'm more lengthened on my right side. So then I was like, oh, okay, I'm stronger, but I definitely could be pulling way more. But it's like, I don't know how to fully activate it because I'm so extended there, that learning how to pull this back and then hold that and be able to contract from there also helped. But that's another thing I wanted to bring up too, is going back to like all the benefits of building out your back, not just the looks of it, but if you're having posture issues,
totally,
that is how you are going to correct it. It's not what most people just try to do of, well, I'm just going to start standing up straight. You're not going to, because that's going to happen for 30 seconds, and then you're going to fall back into your ways because your back is not strong enough to keep you in that position. That, if you have like a rounded shoulder or a hunchback, or you just don't stand up as straight as you should, strengthening your back is going to really help you with keeping that.
I think you still need to focus on your posture though, and sitting up straight or standing up tall or whatever, shoulders back. I think there's a practice element to it too, but I think there's especially in today's day and age, there's a huge issue with it, like just the overactive and underactive muscle parts, where it's just you've got this forward shoulder, your chest is super underactive, and yeah, it's just or overactive. You just yeah, and your back is working on your back and strengthening your back is going to be the way to kind of pull all of that back and down, and because in all of these exercises you should be doing it with good posture and good form. So not only are you practicing it during your exercises, but then you're creating the right pathway of how you should be standing or sitting or doing anything.
A great exercise that I just thought of with that, but I was thinking of it earlier, but it kind of ties into this as well. But for a back exercise, how I use it is suitcase carries.
Yeah.
Practicing pulling everything back, standing up tall, and then having weight on that and having to control that weight. I like using it for just core strength and stability and being able to just be a little bit more functional, but also because your obliques are a part of your back. They wrap all the way around. Strengthening those as well will help look a little bit more symmetrical.
Yeah.
Focusing on the whole, going back to the whole picture, not just focusing on, a few parts, but the obliques is a huge area that I think when people connect to, like, oh, I have, some fatty areas, on the backside and your love handle areas, that's really your obliques. So focusing on, again, going back to that diagram of what parts am I lacking in and what muscles am I actually trying to work to make that better.
Yeah. I think also with those, I think a lot of people will do them, whether it's like a farmer's carry or a suitcase if you're just on one side. If you're just letting the weight pull you down, you're not necessarily doing the exercise correctly. You want to be holding the weight. You want to be in control of the weight. So don't just let the weight pull you to the ground and pull your shoulders into position, because you are getting a stretch, which is nice. But the point and the emphasis of that exercise is to be in control of the weight. The weight is pulling you down, but you're still holding the weight. You're using your grip to hold the weight. You should be squeezing the dumbbells. And then also you are pushing your shoulders back and down and in control of it, not it just pulling you to the ground. So I think you're going to get a lot more benefit from that exercise if you're putting that emphasis into it.
Yeah.
Something else with the back too, you mentioned earlier, is twisting motions. I think a lot of people forget about any sort of twisting motions when it comes to back or just core in general. That's where a lot of injuries are going to occur. It's kind of that same example we bring up of you're in the car and you turn and you reach back and you're twisting and reaching, and that's kind of where you get injured, is in those awkward positions that it's because you don't work on the twisting. So anything like a cable twist, Russian twists, anything where you can load the weight opposite of the way you're twisting and going, I think that's going to be super important it's going to help aesthetically for sure, but I think it's more so for that health part of it, the functionality of keeping the muscles around your spine healthy and making sure that you don't get injured doing something in that domain, in that way that you're moving.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to just like rattle off, maybe like the top 7 or the top 10 lifts for your back? Not even just like your favorite, but just beneficial ones.
Yeah, I think we could do that. And then I want to get a little bit more into like the different ways to build it. Just like whether you're trying to get bigger or more defined.
Cool. Okay.
And that can be super quick, but just to kind of recap those things too.
Yeah.
I would say best back exercises, that barbell bent over row, lat pull down. This isn't in an order. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. Deadlifts is one of them. Rack pulls is one of them. Barbell or dumbbell row is one of them. Kind of like what I said, any of the twisting motions, a cable twist, you could do a landmine twist, or you could do a Russian twist. There's so many. I think a T-bar row, like what you mentioned, and I even like those more so for without a bench. If you just stick a bar in the corner and you're either grabbing onto that bar or you grab a handle to go underneath, that's a really great one too, especially to hit the mid back. You could do your wide grip barbell and then twist it, put it in a corner and do a T-bar from the same position. You're gonna burn out that lower back, which is great, and then you're gonna be hitting both wide and mid back. So I think those are probably the top ones that I would do.
Okay. Same.
Yeah.
Same as these.
And then to get into just building the back in whatever direction you kind of want to go, whether you want it to get bigger or more defined. Bigger is pretty much always going to be low repetition, really loading up the weight, making it hard for yourself. And then you're going to have to increase calories. You're going to have to eat a little bit more to put on weight, to put on muscle. And then in the opposite direction, if you're looking to chisel a little bit more, you're going to be up in the higher repetition range, 15 to 20 maybe. I don't know if you necessarily have to reduce calories, just because typically when you're in that higher rep range, you're going to be burning a little bit more calories while you're working out. I don't think there's a whole bunch of science or studies on afterwards if the rep ranges change how many calories you're burning type of thing. But because you're doing more repetitions, you're typically working up a little bit more of a sweat and you're contracting and relaxing the muscle more times. You're just having a little bit more output rather than kind of intensity or straining. So higher rep range, you can reduce calories a little bit, but again, you have to be doing that with everything. If you're going to be trying to chisel out your back, you got to have that same intention for your legs, your chest, everything. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I like that we kind of dove into the core so much with this. I wasn't really planning on that, but I think that works seamlessly into the other half of this episode, which is the benefits and negatives to using a weight belt.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in a lot of these exercises, you could be using a weight belt for them. I think I personally am somewhat, I don't really like the weight belt. I can understand it for certain things. But even then, I feel like there's always an argument to not use one. I think why you would use a weight belt is if you're kind of going for PRs, you're going for heavy weight, because that weight belt can assist you a little bit in bracing and having something to push against to be able to create more tension in your body so that you can lift a little bit more. But I think the thing that I don't like about it is it's more so used for people that have back issues and they're using this brace to kind of be able to work out and get by and still load up the weight and whatnot. And I think that's just a recipe for disaster.
I agree. I feel like you could be avoiding the problems that you're actually needing to fix. So going back to what we said of the stronger and more and the healthier that you're creating your core and your spine and your rotational health, the better that you're going to be able to build out your back. That by wearing the waist belt, you're kind of just cheating in a way. You're trying to avoid getting the pain. It's like people that don't squat because their knees hurt. That doesn't mean don't squat. It means let's fix the knee pain. Why do we have knee pain? You're not supposed to be having knee pain just because you're over a certain age or whatever. Your body should still function properly, which if you're having back issues when you do a squat or you do deadlifts or something, that's the problem that you should be focusing on, because it could be a mobility fix and then you just need to add that into your programming and it works itself out. It could be something even as simple as your form is a little jacked up and you need to fix that and then problem goes away. Or it could be, a deeper issue and then that could be checked out by a doctor, but either way needs to be addressed, in my opinion. And it could be similar to, say, like again, like you got to think about what the purpose of it's doing. It's bracing for you so that you do not have to. It's the same thing with like the waist trainers that these girls wear. You're kind of telling your core, hey, it's okay, I got it. And then you're not building that connection. You're not building those muscles up yourself. So then you're kind of creating a permanent or a longer term issue because you're putting on weight that your waist and your core can't handle. That, yeah, I do. I think it's for more of the extreme cases. And again, only every once in a while.
Yeah. And I think I don't like them or like the thought of them. I've tried them a couple times and I just felt that it was, I don't know. It felt kind of like what you said, a little bit of a cheat. It felt like, well, if I can't lift this without a belt, I can't lift this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I shouldn't need something to aid me in this because, I don't know. I view my body as a whole, and it's like, especially for deadlifts, I think that's a common one that people use it for, or squats. If you can't lift it without one, your body can't lift it, type of thing. If you put a weight belt on, now we're kind of adding, I don't know. We're adding I don't want to say a cheat because I think that's extreme, but we're adding a help to it.
Sure.
And I think there's also a thing with intention. Like, I'm not trying to be a strong man. I think that's where I typically see it used more in what I would think, or my opinion, a more logical way is with those guys where they're lifting really, really heavy weights, and they may need it to be able to do that or to be able to train in that weight, because, not to go off on a whole other thing, but there is something about like feeling that amount of weight.
Sure.
And getting used to feeling that amount of weight, to be able to lift it yourself without a weight belt or knee wraps or all that type of stuff.
Which there's you go back to your intention of it is those, and then we're getting to the pros of those guys. Their intention is to eventually do it without that, but it is just to feel the weight, feel that motion, feel like, how far off am I from this? What do I need to work on? Know your intention. Are you doing it as just a right now? Or are you going, I'm not going to ever do deadlifts unless I have this on, no matter what weight I'm doing, what rep range I'm doing. This is just like a part of my workout attire, which I feel like is what you see most of the time, is they walk in with it on and then they wear it the whole time, and you're like, you're doing arms today.
Yeah.
That, what is your intention with that? But there's the pro of it, is it can kind of assist you in, okay, this is where I want to get to. That's kind of the same thing with like any workout accessories, I guess you could say. Like, yeah. I love using wrist straps for when I get really heavy in deadlifts, but knowing I can't own that I can do this weight until I can do it without the straps, because I know I'm using the straps because my grip strength sucks, to where I want to be able to say, no, I can lift this weight me as is. Yeah. That it can still give you, though, a like, okay, well, my legs can pull this. So it's really the grip strength that I need to work on. Yeah. So same thing with the squat belt is, know what your intention is and use it with temporary use. Yeah. My opinion on those accessories that kind of help you lift, like you brought up the wrist straps, I think they can, I think exactly what you're saying, everything you're saying. I think just to add to that, I think they do more harm than good typically, especially if you use them more often than not. I think the weight belt, people typically think that they're doing their body a good service by protecting it, but in reality, you're actually damaging yourself more and more, because as you go to the gym more,
as you lift more weight and you get stronger, you're creating more and more of an imbalance of, I can lift this much weight with this help, that now when you take that weight belt off and you're just moving a dresser, or you're moving something else, or you have to lift something up for some reason, or you just day-to-day life, you've created this large imbalance because you've literally put a brace on yourself, that you're setting yourself up for more injury and more damage by continuing to wear it. It's like you take anybody who tears their Achilles, ACL, or anything that those major damages to the body, they put a brace on it and they have you go through therapy and train to get out of that brace. It's the same thing right now. If you're having lower back problems, the idea is not to throw a brace on it and be done with it. It's maybe throw a brace on it because you can't do anything without it, but you need to work and have your intention be, I need to get out of this brace and be able to do it, do everything without this brace. You need to gain that functionality back.
Yes. Because you really are doing yourself a disservice in so many ways beyond even like, oh, I'm going to use it for deadlifts. Okay, well you're missing out on half of your upper body strength, like getting more strength. So it's like you're working on this thing to get stronger and to be able to push more weight or to look a certain way, and then you're basically telling your muscles like, just weaken and soften up. And that's why like I hate the waist trainers, or I hate the idea of these waist trainers for girls, is you want this tight stomach or midsection, and then you're not allowing those muscles to become strong and strengthen, which is going to create that tightening effect. Like you're just creating, like, it's like when I broke my foot and I had the boot on, you're telling the muscles, we don't need you, and then they go away.
Yep.
So that's the same thing with any other part of your body, or like the waist trainers or the straps or anything, is you're taking away that muscle's ability to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, totally.
Especially when most of those lifts, if you actually think about the function of doing it, you really don't even need to be bracing. Like, learn how to internally brace and tighten rather than pressing out. Like, if I think of doing a squat, I'm not pressing against anything. So then when you go to take that off, you're also creating a pattern that's not realistic.
Yeah, I mean, you're teaching your body in so many ways that you're practicing pathways and teaching your body things that don't
actually happen.
They shouldn't be doing or don't do in normal day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's everything for me. How about you? Cool.
Yeah.
Again, like and subscribe to the channel. Also, go follow and like our Facebook page. I don't know why I'm doing that while I'm... Nobody's going to
go like and follow our Facebook
Nobody's going to be able to hear me when I'm doing this. Go like our Facebook page and follow it. The Hub Fitness. Also our Instagram at @thehub_fitness. Our email, you can email us anything you want, even if it's just a picture. Maybe not.
What?
Maybe not.
That's a weird invitation for a lot of random stuff to happen. Pass. I don't want that. Do your personal email.
Email Courtney's email.
Yeah. No.
Our email, thehub.fitcrew@gmail.com. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And look out for like our recipe videos, our how-to videos. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said in the beginning, new year, let's attack it in the right way. If you need help with that, we are here for you.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for watching.